All right, shalom, shalom. Barakatah Yahweh, Ba'asham, Yahweh Shai, Ba'asham, Rakah Kodash. A double honor to the apostles, elders of Great Millstone. Salutations to Akim, pushing the work in truth and sincerity. Wasting time is a crime. All right, especially now, because as the scripture says, it is high time to awake out of sleep. All right, especially now, because things, are becoming more dangerous on earth. All right, and we're getting closer to, that hour of temptation. Okay, and our job as servants in the ministry is to push forth the work so that we may seal the elect. Okay, all right, and so there's no time for idleness, stubbornness, all right, which we're going to go into, okay, because we're sons, right? And there's a law on a stubborn son, all right, in Deuteronomy 21st, first chapter, okay, 18th verse. But I want to start with Galatians 4 and 6, okay, to establish that, not only are we servants, but more so sons. And if we're sons, we ought to be obedient to our Heavenly Father. All right. Yahweh Ba'asham Yahweh Shai. Okay. All right. So this is Galatians 4 and 6. It says, and because ye are sons, the Most High hath sent forth the Spirit of His Son into your hearts, crying, Abba, Father. All right. And so the Lord has sent forth Yahweh Shai, all right, into our minds, okay, crying out. Verse 7, it says, wherefore thou art no more a servant, but a son, and if a son, then an heir of the Most High through Hamashiach, all right. And so if we're joint heirs, then that means that, that means a whole lot. That's a great deal. Okay. All right. And our responsibility is towards our brothers who are like-minded, who are in the faith, and who are out there still, waiting to receive the Spirit, okay, the Spirit of truth, or Tawah, all right, the exemption from the judgment. And so our jobs is, very important, all right, and it doesn't help if we're idle, all right, or stubborn, okay. Now I want to get Deuteronomy 21, all right, and 18 to establish this. Well, I established that, we're sons, okay? Not only servants, but more so sons. And if we're sons and joint heirs, boy, do we have a great deal of responsibility. And of course, we need to listen and follow what the Lord is saying. And so this is in regards to our workload in the ministry and, our daily output, And this is more so a lesson for myself more than anything, okay, because I'm guilty just as well as anybody of sometimes being idle, sometimes being complacent, all right, and that's a bad feeling, especially if you, if you want to do, great things, not for vainglory's sake, but just being, a good son, So this is Deuteronomy 21 and 18. If a man have a stubborn and rebellious son, which will not obey the voice of his father or the voice of his mother, and that when they have chastened him will not hearken unto them. You see, and this is a law in the ancient world, but it can apply to, our spiritual father, which is Yahweh Shai, okay, and the leaders of our nation, okay. All right. It says, and then shall his father and his mother lay hold on him. All right. And our mother is what? Wisdom. Okay. And our father, again, you know, we got spiritual fathers. We got Yahweh Shai. All right. Okay. So it says, they shall lay hold on him and bring him out unto the elders of the city and unto the gate of his place. And they shall say unto the elders of the city, this our son is stubborn and rebellious. He will not obey our voice. He is a glutton, all right, and a drunkard. Okay. All right. And so the scriptures say what? Be you circumspect. You know. The scriptures talk about being vigilant. All right. The scriptures talk about being sober minded. Okay. And we can all apply this, you know, by through recalling, you know, these instances. All right. So Salakia, it says verse 21, and all the men of the city shall stone him with stones that he die. So shalt thou put evil away from among you, and all Israel shall hear and fear. All right. And so we have a greater workload through the Spirit. All right. Doing this work, because it is high time to wake out of sleep. All right. Because our salvation is nearer than when we believe. Okay. And we ought to honor and do what the Lord has called us to do at the highest level that we can do it. All right. So my next precept is Matthew. So, you know, well, you know what? I'm going to get the word stubborn. Okay. There's a point I want to bring out of here. And it's here, the adjective. All right. Definitions from WordNet. Stubborn, adjective. Tenaciously, unwilling, or marked by tenacious unwillingness to yield. Okay. And so we're supposed to put forth work. We're supposed to yield. All right. Okay. So let's go back up, and I want to look this up. All right. In the Strongs. All right. The word stubborn, Hebrew word, is sarar. Sarar. All right. To rebel, be stubborn, be rebellious. All right. Be refractory. Okay. So in a sense, if you're not doing what the Lord is saying, you're rebelling, or rebelling, and rebellion is a sin of witchcraft. Okay, because what did, you know, I think it was Samuel who told Saul, you know, he says, you know, obedience is, you know, better than sacrifice, roughly paraphrasing. But it's your obedience, you know, which pleases the Lord. All right. Above all. Okay. And it's the feared. All right. Okay. And so we don't want to be rebellious. We don't want to be stubborn. It says revolters. So we're not doing the work. In a sense, we're revolting against the Lord. Okay. And here it is, you know, like I said, I'm pricked in the spirit every day about this, because, you know, you got the elders, you know, laying a standard, you know, and setting a standard and setting a goal, you know. And that standard is not that high, you know. It's just, you know, a few hours out of the day, every day. Okay. You know, to put up a video so that we may feed the flock, you know. And there's nothing wrong with that, you know, them provoking us to righteousness. And that's all it is to it. These men are, you know, through the Spirit provoking us to righteousness, all right, through pushing us to do more, you know. And again, they set the standard, all right. And we should follow that standard to the best of our ability with all our might, and don't really use an excuse, you know. because we can use excuses all damn day. All right, but that still doesn't solve anything, you know. Okay. All right. So in a sense, it says withdrew there too. You know, we don't want to withdraw from, that workload. Okay, because what did the Lord say? Matthew 9:37. All right. And again, we have to understand that we're playing a huge part, and bringing the sons back, bringing the elect back. All right. And how much glory and honor shall we receive? So this is Matthew 9:37. It says, then said he unto his disciples, the harvest truly is plenteous. All right, but the laborers are few. So if we already got few laborers and we got a heavy workload, we're supposed to be, pressing and pushing, sometimes pushing in overtime. All right, because it's easy. You can be easily set by. You can be easily complacent. And I'm going to go into that word too. You can be easily complacent, and that's, Apostle Ricard was talking about that. Bros that come in and think they're doing enough and we're never doing enough. And so it's important to be mindful of that, that complacency demon, that spirit. All right. It says, pray ye therefore the Lord of the harvest that he will send forth laborers into his harvest. All right. And so we want to wake up others. Okay. So the others, so that we may be fruitful. Okay, so we can seal the hopeful, and so we can get the hell up out of this place. All right, because remember, those angels are holding back the destruction. Okay, because the elect aren't sealed. Now we know the elect are predestined. So in a sense, they're already sealed, but they have to be woken up. They're sealed in heaven. I'll say it like that. And correct me if I'm wrong. But let's continue. All right, so Matthew 22:9, because what did the Lord say? All right, 22:9, basic precept. All right, and this is for this cuts those who, don't want to be a part of a camp and don't go out and teach. It's not so much of being part of a camp, because Jake, always want to be part of something. But it's more so doing the work of the Lord and not being stubborn. Because in the ancient world, for being stubborn and not having a spirit to excel, all right, and being a drunkard or being, what was the other one? Gluttony, or glutton, always eating, drinking, you get put to death for that, man. So that's a good example, for those who, in the spirit, who are, lackadaisical, and complacent. All right. Matthew 22:9, it says, go ye therefore into the highways, and as many as ye shall find, bid to the marriage. All right. Okay. And this is commandment. Okay. It says, so those servants went out into the highways and gathered together all as many as they found, both bad and good, and the wedding was furnished with guests. All right. And when the king came in to see the guests, he saw there a man which had not on a wedding garment. All right. And he said unto him, friend, how camest thou in hither, not having a wedding garment? And he was speechless. Then said the king to the servants, bind him hand and foot, and take him and cast him into the outer darkness. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth. All right. For many are called, but few are chosen. All right. With the point being in verse 9, basic, simple, straight to the point. Go ye therefore into the highways, and as many as ye shall find, bid to the marriage. And that's our job. Okay. Because we bring in both good and bad, but it's the Spirit of the Lord who pretty much sifts. Okay. It's the Spirit of the Lord who pretty much sifts, okay? All right. So, Salaki, give me a second. Okay. I'm actually, all right, so good. So here we go. Let's continue, all right? So another word I want to go into is slothfulness. All right? Because we know, we're battling every day, but the battle is to overcome. It's not to, it's not to concede to the circumstances, but rather becomes, to overcome. All right. So Lord willing is making sense, So slothfulness. All right. So slothful for the latter. Okay. It says decline to work or exertion. All right. And in the ancient world, that was a crime, man. You'd be penalized for that and put to death if you weren't, if you weren't useful or fruitful. All right. So keep that in mind, because it applies now in the spirit. Okay. We're not held to the law, but it's a spiritual. It's applied to the spirit. It's a spiritual law, so to speak. All right. All right. So complacency. That's another word I wanted to look into, because it was on the spirit of the apostle to go into that. All right. It says the fact or state of being pleased with something or someone, especially oneself. All right. And we're servants. We're sons and joint heirs. So we're not doing this for ourselves. We're doing this for the Lord. And we have to acknowledge that. Okay. This is from same source as complacent, but with the latter form. All right. Self-complacency. That's a better word, better way to put it. The feeling you have when you are satisfied with yourself. And look, like I said, first and foremost, I'm guilty of that myself. Even though, I'm doing the work, it's not for me, it's never enough. It's never to the best of my ability, because I do have moments where, I have maybe small free time where I could dedicate it to doing something, worthwhile. And this is worthwhile. Okay. So let's continue. All right. So it says down here, complacence, pleasure, gratification, especially self-satisfaction. We're trying to please the Lord. All right. So if we set the bar to ourselves, hell, we'll never be able to please the Lord. All right. Because the scripture says, the Lord's thoughts are higher than our thoughts. His ways are higher than our ways. All right. According to Isaiah, the 55th chapter. All right. So we have to speak, we'll think on a godlike level. Hey, what would the Lord expect? When we're talking about the King of Kings, the Lord of Lords. And he put in work. He spoke every day. All right. About the Father and the kingdom of heaven and what was to come. So how much more us? All right. Ecclesiastes 10 and 18. All right. And this is for, it's for those who, for that slothfulness. Okay. Those that's not exerting themselves. It says by much slothfulness, the building decayeth. So in a sense, if you're slothful towards reading, all right, you're going to get weaker. All right. And we're spiritual buildings, and we build ourselves up with the word of the Lord. Okay. And if you're slothful, the Lord, you start to lose that structure. You see? Okay? It says, and through idleness of the hands, the house droppeth through. All right? So idleness is to simply not move. And the Lord hates that. You know? And I'm guilty of it as well. Okay? I'm very guilty of it. All right? Okay? And that goes into what? That goes into stubbornness. All right? And being in obstinate. We don't want to be an obstinate. You know? Hell, we're living beings. Our spirits are pure energy. Energy is not obstinate. It's ever flowing. And that's how this truth is. It's like water. Water is always flowing. You know? Okay? All right, so let's continue. Okay, let's see. Sirach 33 and 27. And like, the thing is also balance that you have to put, add to the equation. Because we know with too much, and not moderation, you can overdo yourself. You can overwhelm yourself, And that's why we don't have to, go extremely hard when it comes to studying, but study, have a regimen, whether that's 2 chapters a day, 5 chapters a day, 10 chapters a day, that's the cost. That's what it's going to take. But it has to be somewhere in between. It has to be some type of moderation. All right. And again, I'm speaking to myself before anyone else. So this is Sirach 33 and 27 again. It says, send him to labor that he be not idle, slacking. Let me go up. 25. Ecclesiastes 33 and 25. If thou set thy servant to labor, thou shalt find rest. But if thou let him go idle, he shall seek liberty. You see? And so much so with us. All right? Seeking liberty in this time, that's only going to lead to our destruction. All right? So that's why we got the yoke on us. And we're yoke fellows. We can't, fail to acknowledge that. All right? It says, a yoke and a collar do bow the neck. So are tortures and torments for an evil servant. All right? And so a lot of us go through and catch hell. But that hell is to bow to our necks. You see? A lot of us don't, or can't do as much in the world. Or, that's to bow your neck. All right? At least that's how I look at it, Because perception is almost everything, okay? So it says, set him to work as is fit. Oh, Salaki, it says, send him to labor that he be not idle, all right? And it's the same sense for us, doing this work. So for idleness teacheth much evil, you see? And that's where you find yourself going off by being stagnant, by being obstinate, by being stubborn. I think a stub is like, an obstinate object. It doesn't move. All right. So it says, set him to work as is fit for him. If he be not obedient, put on more heavy fetters. All right. So Jake be catching hell and catch more hell and wonder why they catching so much hell is because you're not putting forth the effort. So the Lord has to bow your neck. All right. And then Jake will start becoming angry and frustrated. That's a red flag. Okay. It says, set him to work as is fit for him, and if he be not obedient, put on more heavy fetters. But be not excessive toward any, and without discretion do nothing. Right? Because there's always a balance. Okay. So let's continue. All right. Salaki. So next precept. Oh, I wanted to get leisure. All right. Okay, because this helps balance. All right, leisure. All right. Slacking. Let's see if it comes up. Leisure. All right. It didn't want to come up. But I think I had it. This might be it. Sirach 38 and 24. Sirach 30. Yep. There it is. Sirach 38 and 24, or Ecclesiasticus. It says, the wisdom of a learned man cometh by opportunity of leisure. So our wisdom comes, all right, during the opportunities where, where we have a downtime, It says, and he that hath little business shall become wise, And that's why you might not have a lot of burdens on you in the world. Brothers might not have a lot of burdens because of what? Our job is to become, wise in the Lord. Okay? It says, how can he get wisdom that holdeth the plow, and that glorieth in the goad that driveth oxen? All right? And that's why our job wasn't to, be, these workers of the world and be, have, the greatest jobs, working for the establishment, doctor, lawyer, and all of that other type of stuff, because really we're not put here for that, because this isn't our rest. Okay, this is the time that we labor so we can enter into a rest. Okay, how can he get wisdom that holdeth the plow, and that glorieth in the goad that driveth oxen, and is occupied in their labors, and whose talk is of bullocks? He giveth his mind to make furrows, and is diligent to give the kind fodder. So every carpenter and workmaster that laboreth night and day, and they that cut and grave seals, and are diligent to make great variety, and give themselves to counterfeit imagery, and watch to finish a work. The smith also sitting by the anvil, and considering the iron, the vapor of the fire, wasteth his flesh. You see? And he fighteth with the heat of the furnace, the noise of the hammer, and the anvil is never in his ears, is ever in his ears. All right, so that's all he hears. All right, and his eyes look still upon the pattern of the thing that he maketh. He setteth his mind to finish his work, and watcheth to polish it perfectly. So doth the potter sitting at his work, and turning the wheel about with his feet, who is always carefully set at his work, and maketh all his work by number. He fashioneth the clay with his arm, and boweth down his strength before his feet. He applieth himself to lead it over. All right, and he is diligent to make clean the furnace. All these trust to their hands, and every one is wise in his work. Without these cannot a city be inhabited, and they shall not dwell where they will, nor go up and down. All right, they shall not be sought for in public council, nor sit high in the congregation. They shall not sit on the judge's seat, nor understand the sentence of judgment. They cannot declare justice and judgment, and they shall not be found where parables are spoken. but they will maintain the state of the world, all right? And all their desire is in the work of their craft, you see? All right, and that's why we're not called to maintain the state of the world, but rather maintain, all right, the counsel of the Lord, all right, to sit in the congregation of the Lord, all right, and to be judges, all right, and understand the sentence of judgment, all right, and declare judgment and justice and judgment, okay? And that's why our work load is more towards this ministry, all right, because if we was of the world, we'd be working towards keeping this world established, and that's not our job, because this is not our rest, you see? But we're building a kingdom within so that we may have rest, all right? Lord willing, this lesson, making sense to you, Akim, and Lord willing, it was edifying. I think that's all I had, So that wasting time is a crime, especially if you're putting that energy and wasting your flesh in this world, all right, to no avail, all right? But the real work, all right, which is an everyday thing, is toward the ministry, all right, and helping seal the elect, okay? All right, so again, just to recap, we're sons, not just servants, but sons and heirs to the throne of Hamashiach, Yahweh Shai. All right, and being so, we have to acknowledge, that there's plenty of work to be done. All right, and what did the Lord say? He says, "Feed my flock," And that's how we please the Lord, by feeding His flock. Okay, and we understand in the ancient world, stubbornness. All right, and a willful or a less willingness to excel, you would be put to death. Okay, if you're a gluttonous, all right, if you're a wine bibber, all right, all you do is drink, all you do is eat, and of course this world, that's all this world has taught us, is to be gluttonous and to be idle. All right, hell, this new NWO that's all that's about. The metaverse and all of those things, man. Okay, and then Matthew 22:9. I think it's the bid to the marriage. All right, don't be slothful. Don't have complacency and self-gratification. Oh, I've done enough, so I should reward myself. No, we don't. We don't do enough. All right. If you don't build this building, Ecclesiastes 10:18, it's gonna fall through. All right, and you're gonna lose works by and by. And again, Lord willing, this lesson was edifying. I'll give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Ba'asham, Yahweh Shai, Ba'asham, Rekha Kodash. Double honors to the apostles, the elders of Great Millstone. Salutations to you, Akim, pushing the work in truth and in sincerity. Shalom.